Some of those are going to have to be very precise. We still do have ATACMS, the Army's tactical missile, which can be very precise. We still have a few, not many, but a few PRISM missiles, the Army's new and most exquisite artillery-launched precision munition that's very precise. And we still have quite a few of our munitions that can be launched off of naval assets that are pretty precise. We do have our Tomahawk supply is almost at zero. Like the Tomahawks we have, we're literally like digging through the pantry to see if we have any leftover Tomahawks. We're hurting on that, but we still have some. You know, this is very reminiscent of during the offensive in Baghuz Fakhani against ISIS in December of 18 into January, February of 19. We didn't anticipate this, but the most effective munition that we had out of all of the munitions in the inventory that can be fired all weather, all the time, anywhere, was the 120 millimeter extended mortar. Well, we were firing upwards of 250 of those rounds a day, and we ran out. And we had to then request through the Secretary of Defense at the time, Mattis, request to receive wartime reserve strategic stock of the 120 millimeter extended range munitions. So when it comes to Tomahawks and it comes to some of our other precise, very smart munitions, our A+ bombs, there have been requests from Central Command to other COCOMs, combatant commanders, to where, hey, I need some of your stuff. You're not using it right now. We're not going to fight Canada. So Northcom, give me your stuff. Indo-PACOM, China might do something, but likely not. Give me some of your stuff. EUCOM, yeah, I know you need it for Ukraine, but give me some of your stuff. Which is why we've seen people say no, like General Chris Donahue, who said, no, you can't take my Ukrainian munitions, and he got fired. Just yesterday, we had the commander of U.S. Indo-Pacific, Indo-PACOM, say, hey, if you keep taking my munitions, I can't defend against the second island chain against China. So we're obviously taking them. So we're not.
And you got Alexis from EUCOM. You got Alexis from EUCOM warned the Pentagon this week that he does not have sufficient naval forces to continue defending Israel from ballistic missile attacks.
That's right. According to the Washington Post. Replaced 4-star General Chris Donahue. Remember, about a month ago was fired by Hegseth. This guy's now saying the same thing that Chris Donahue was saying. But Hegseth doesn't want to hear it. We're sending everything to Brad Cooper. So Brad Cooper in CENTCOM is going to get what he wants. However, he better use it and he better make it count. Because if we come out of this next large-scale bombardment by sea and air and land, and we don't have that effect that Donald Trump is looking for, there's going to be some more firings.
What do you think are the military advisors telling Trump about the interceptors? Because I'm sure someone will bring up the issue of, okay, if we strike their energy infrastructure, Iran will do the same to the Gulf. But the Gulf are we defend the Gulf and we're running out of interceptors. They're running out of interceptors. Same for Israel, by the way, but to a lesser extent. Oh, yeah. So what will be the answer from Cooper, whoever is responding? What will be their explanation of, okay, that's not an issue because X, Y, Z, or we could deal with this issue by doing A, B, C. My assumption is like the strategy would be, Mr. President, is we will strike their missile launchers with so much firepower that they won't have the capacity to fire missiles like they did before. But I just feel like this is deja vu. That's literally what was discussed a few months ago in the early days of the war, and it failed.
Well, I think a lot of the sycophants that want to keep their jobs are saying, sir, we're going to obliterate it. The realists in the room who might get fired for saying this are saying, hey, there's a risk that we don't hit and destroy all of their launchers, because the truth is, Mr. President or Mr. Secretary, is that we don't know where all of the launchers are. That's just a fact.
And some are too deep as well.
That's right. Some we know where they are, but we can't hit them. Some we know where they are and we can hit them. Some we don't even know. Remember, it's the old Rumsfeld model of the known knowns, the known unknowns, and the unknown unknowns. It's the unknown unknowns that kick you in the ass. And those are the ones that we don't necessarily know about. So a prudent commander or a prudent military advisor is telling the president, hey, if we kick this hornet's nest again, which we're seemingly about to, we don't have the protection. Because remember, so a lot of people put in the same category when you're talking about interceptors or missiles or bombs. So in the warfighting functions of how a military, or at least the United States, the Western way of war fights war, it's through the military functions. One of those functions is fires. Fires meaning your offensive munitions, things that we're sending over to blow things or destroy it. Then you also have the protection warfighting function, which also includes things that may fire into the air, but they are to intercept or to protect. So you've got a general officer who's in charge of protection, who's saying, hey, fires guy, before you go starting something that we can't defend against, here's where I am. And then you have the fires guy saying, hey, I've got all of this and I can only destroy so much. So protection guy, you better get ready. It's kind of like in the old days of fighting at a castle where you have archers get ready and they fire the arrows, and then the other army fires back and you have everybody put up their shields. Well, imagine you have got an army where said, hey, boss, we lost all of our shields. So if you fire those arrows and they fire back, half our people are going to be killed. And then it's like Longshanks in Braveheart, who says, well, if they die, they die, right? So that's kind of the position we have now. So the response from U.S. Central Command is, well, if you're within range of an Iranian response, batten down the hatches and you better practice getting to the bunkers, because we cannot intercept all of it.
But what about the energy infrastructure, the refineries, the pipelines?
Bingo. So that's why whatever the U.S. does, we better the region better expect an equal to, or at least an attempt to, an equal response.
But what's again? They must have. They've gamed all this. They anticipate. Everyone said they'll restrict the Gulf energy infrastructure. They know what that will do to global markets and the global economy. So I'm sure there's an explanation there on why the Iranis would not be able to strike or destroy the energy infrastructure in the Gulf. Well, there's a plan there, unless they've decided like we're going to sacrifice the energy infrastructure in the Gulf for this cause to achieve our objectives in this war.